Good morning, good morning, good morning. I got my Dab City shirt on, Golden State Warriors. Don't look too good this morning. Just got finished taking the kids to school. My late day. So, I was wondering, I had made a video on what is the most disappointing team this year. The candidates are Syracuse, Miami, Texas, Michigan State, Nebraska. Start off with Syracuse. Syracuse returned their two top defensive ends from last year. A lot of people said this quarterback they had now was better. His name DeVito was better than the guy they had last year, who was a baller. They said that he was better, so he didn't look too good. Syracuse offense absolutely sucked this year. I saw they put up 34 points on Louisville. I was kind of disappointed. Everybody was expecting them to be the second best team and the ACC behind Clemson, but they currently have a 1-6 record, 4-7 overall. No chances to make a bowl. They just didn't look good. Miami, I'm not trying to troll their fans or make them mad, but Miami's very disappointing because they talked a lot of noise like we're going to be better than last year. Smart Rick fault, da-da-da. I even heard MDTV, who's a Miami fan, who covers Clemson, Miami, Arkansas, a few other teams. He even said it's like they worse than they were last year. And then, like the last 2 weeks before this Florida International loss, they were talking about, hey, we're going to go to the Orange Bowl. We're going to play Alabama. And I'm like, why? If we all get slaughtered? I really couldn't understand it. But that's what they were talking about. Their offensive line wasn't that good. They was having issues at quarterback. I don't know what happened with Tate Martell. They said they were going to pull him at a slot receiver. I haven't seen the guy play all year. Outside of maybe 1 or 2 games. I don't know what the deal is him, but I don't know if they even gave him another look at quarterback. But it is what it is. Next one is Texas. Very disappointed in Texas. What's his name? Sam Alger, whatever his name is, Texas quarterback. After beating Georgia last year, the Texas is back. A lot of people said, well, y'all might want to slow y'all roll because y'all lost a lot of defensive players. And then it was like, 8 guys that left. These guys are behind them are better. Blah, blah, blah. Didn't look that way. But they talked a lot of jazz. They lost to a lot of teams this year. They went 4-4, 6-5. They got Texas Tech, so they probably end up finishing 7-5 maybe. Texas Tech is not that good this year. A lot of people give the ACC a hard time. I don't think the Pac-12 or the Big 12 is better than the ACC. Some of these teams struggled to win. Baylor struggled against TCU, Texas Tech, a few other teams. And, they gave up that big lead. Oklahoma just had an issue with TCU, who's 5-6. They barely won that game. think the final score was like 28-24. So, I mean, I don't think the Big 12 is that good. I think they have they got their top two probably really good. But if you put Clemson against Oklahoma, Clemson would destroy them again this year. Baylor, it's probably, who's the second best? I don't think Baylor's that much better than Virginia. Baylor play a boring brand of football just like Virginia does. That's the honest truth. So I don't think Baylor's that much. I mean, people say, oh, they ranked in the top 10, but also look at who they have played to get that ranking. So, and look at their results on the field. They struggled with a lot of teams this year, just like Virginia. Virginia, I mean, lost to Miami, 17-9, and they were losing weird games. They lost to Louisville on the road. They don't play that well away from the road. Virginia does it. It's interesting to see Virginia Tech this weekend. Big Ten, my disappointment was I actually had two, Michigan State and Nebraska. I don't know who Michigan State got this weekend. Then they got Maryland. Ooh, they talking about disappointing. Maryland came out like a buzzsaw, beating Howard 79-0 and blowing out Syracuse. My dumb self, when I was betting, I put a whole bunch of money on Maryland to upset Penn State. That didn't happen because I thought Maryland was pretty good this year. But you can put them as a disappointment because after those first two games, everybody thought they were going to do something the way they were scoring. Matter of fact, I think the head coach at Enos, Miami, got in an argument who were calling plays at Alabama. The way both of them looked, neither one of them should have been taking credit for calling plays at Alabama. But Michigan State's a disappointment. You heard about their defense coming into the season. You heard about their quarterback, how good their quarterback was, and how they're going to be much improved. The coach out there, he's a pretty successful dude, but I don't think he's going to last long. Sometimes you got to catch up with modern times. I don't know how hard it is to recruit at Michigan State. They have some great cornerbacks and, developing players, but I don't know. I don't know what the issue is up there. I really don't watch a lot of their football unless they're really good. But obviously they're not that good this year. They're 3-5, 5-6 to make a bowl. Wouldn't it be interested if Michigan State and Texas hooked up in a bowl? We call it a disappointment bowl. But a lot of people had a lot of expectations for Michigan State. This one I called in the beginning of the year. I could not understand why people love Nebraska this year. Just love them. I couldn't understand it. The quarterback, I watched them play a few games this year, Colorado early, a couple other games, but I really couldn't understand why people was in love with Nebraska coming into the season. Some people picked them to win the conference. I even think Vegas picked them to win the conference. Not the conference, their division. And I couldn't understand it because I knew Minnesota had a lot of good talent coming back. Wisconsin is always good. Iowa is always good. But, they're 5-6. I think they play Iowa this weekend. They have a chance not to make a bowl this coming up year. That's crazy because they didn't make one last year, and Scott Frost gets an extension. I can't understand that for the life of me. I know they love Scott Frost over there, but I remember at times Solich was going 9-3, and they got rid of him, but they get Scott Frost a extension. If you really want to throw a couple more teams in there, Purdue and the Northwestern was disappointment. I think Purdue returned a lot of their starters. That receiver, I don't know his name, but the one that killed Ohio State last year, he came back. Northwestern had Hunter Johnson coming over from Clemson. We was expecting a little bit more from him. I want to put this in the right context. I see why Trevor Lawrence didn't, why Hunter Johnson didn't win the job at Clemson, but also Clemson has better personnel than Northwestern, so I guess that's on a fair assessment. So, well, for the most part, I'm not shocked by Nebraska's downfall this year. I wouldn't even call it disappointing in my eyes, but most of the media said that they were going to, Scott Frost is going to pull miracles. It's different when you coach at Central Florida, who has one of the biggest populations of students, and you're in the middle of Florida, compared to coaching at Nebraska, and there's no neighboring states. I mean, I sure Central Florida, I don't want to call it leftovers, but I'm sure they get the leftovers from Florida, Florida State, and Miami, which is better than any talent around Nebraska and around there. I mean, this is not 1980s where you only see Nebraska on TV. But it is what it is. Maybe they'll be better next year. But that's crazy to give the guy a 2-year extension just because he just because of his name and what he did at Central Florida. But that's not my team, so who cares? Y'all have a good day. We'll be back in a few minutes. Like and subscribe to my channel, please.